Okay, welcome to Hopeifiers. My name is the Acapellist. I'm waiting for my co-host, brother Scott. He'll be along shortly. But in the meantime, hey, how's your day been? Been okay? What we like to try and do on this program is we like to have discussions that will increase your hope. And speaking of increase my hope, I just saw brother Scott's smiling face. Hello, Scott. How you doing?
Hi, Al. How are you?
I am good. I just dropped something, but I got it now. It's all good.
I looked away for a second and I looked back and then you were gone. And then you just
You
popped
thought
up
I was
again.
trying to play. You thought I was trying to play peekaboo with you. Is that what you figured, or what?
In Japanese, it's nani nani ba. Interesting factoid for you there. How are you today, buddy?
I am doing well, thank you. Yes. I had a lovely time with the ladies now doing the little photo shoot that you and the White Knight Media team set up for me. Yes, it was very fun.
Yeah, it looked really good. We're gonna have a nice release to talk about the excellent photographer you met today. She does some fantastic work, and it looked like it was a really good. I saw some quick proofs, and they looked really good.
Yes, I thought so too.
Yeah,
And Sister Sheila is with us.
hi, Sheila.
Hey, Sheila. Glad you're with us again, Sheila. Yes.
I think Al, we really have to talk before we get into it. I think we really have to talk about what's going on in the world. And I feel pretty strongly about it, and that's the Russian invasion of the Ukraine. And last night we had people to email us from the Ukraine, and they were in the middle of fleeing their home in the middle of the night. And in these things, there's just losers. The Ukrainian people, the Russian people. There's just no winners, and so I think that we can send our hope and prayers to all the people that are on the ground and in that situation, and without picking sides and without saying who's right and who's wrong. No one's right, and everyone's going to lose. So we can add, I think, that our hope that it ends quickly and it's resolved with the absolute lowest loss of life possible.
But it doesn't become like the former Yugoslavia.
Right, Al? You with me?
Yes. Did Fleur have a comment to add?
I'm not sure. I think she was just agreeing.
She's agreeing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
right. Cool.
I think that, as I said, she has a student from the Ukraine, and it's his sister we were talking to last night. And he's caught up outside of the Ukraine. He can't return to the Ukraine. His family was loading up their grandparents when we were talking to them via messenger or email last night, and they were sort of fleeing in the middle of the night to try and get together. They don't know where their family can meet up. The airports were either closed or taken over almost immediately. So the humanitarian, and I guess this is the thing that really concerns me, is that, just coming through COVID and the pandemic, and the infrastructure in terms of health and medicine is heavily overloaded worldwide. A war is never good, but this is a really horrible time for that to happen. And I think the positive side of that is that those of us that aren't directly involved should be very thankful. I don't think people should be ashamed of being thankful that it's not happening to us, but we should also be very aware that, it is real people. The news was talking about how many people were already killed and how many people were already wounded. And it's just numbers. And the hope I want to give to those is those are families, and those are moms, dads, grandmas, grandpas, and kids. And I send all my hope and all the energy I have. And I hope everyone will join me into sending the people on both sides to end this as soon and as simply as possible, and get back to doing what humans do best, and that's loving and creating and enjoying the great lives that we have.
Well said, Scott. Well said. It's a terrible, terrible situation, and and we want to do what we can for our brothers and sisters in the Ukraine and Russia, that, that conflict that they're having. But, for our perspective, we got to be very, very grateful for where we are, and that there is no bullets flying, and we're not having to evacuate our homes and bombs whistling in and destroying stuff. Right. I mean, it's a horrible, horrible thing.
And, I know that what the lady that was talking to us last night, and people think there's nothing they can do maybe, but her hope was that people would try and understand the situation they're in, and be sympathetic of what's happening to them. And that was really important. I saw some newscasts today, and Ukrainian people and Russian people as well. There was people demonstrating in Russia and protesting, which was illegal, and they were being arrested. Is that, they just want people to know that the situation is bad and that they're suffering, and that we stand there with them, at least in hope that as many as possible can be safe and that it'll end quickly. So I think that having hope in this case is one of the greatest things we can do. It's really easy to get depressed, and really easy to, say, oh, everything's going to heck in a handbasket. And it's true. It's dark, but there's a lot of positive things in life that come out of it as well. And I think we have to be there for each other, right?
I'm not saying this is the right thing to do, but I'm telling you, this is what I do. I didn't know there was a thing going on in the Ukraine with Russia. Didn't know it till like an hour ago, when your lovely bride, I said, what's going on in the Ukraine? Because I haven't watched the news for like a year. And so then she told me what was going on, which is very sad. But the point I'm trying to get at, the news is sad. So, and I'm not saying you should hide your head in the sand, but I think the news that I need to know is something that I can do something about, right?
Yeah.
So,
and that's why I wanted to bring it up tonight, because we have spoken to people in the zone, and what they wanted from us was hope and prayers. And there's nothing else that we could do. You can't send money because the infrastructure is destroyed or in chaos. So, couldn't wire money. If anyone says they can, I'd be very suspicious of that, unless you know them really well. This family just said that, we can't go there and help them. We can't send anything to help them. And like you said, I think we just have to accept that and do what we can here in terms of being positive and not creating more controversy. And I agree with you 100%. Some of the stuff I saw online was immediately really negative, and fighting with each other, and it really expanded the borders of the conflict zone onto the internet, into people's living rooms. And you could see that people were bringing that pain right into their own living room, and they were bringing it right into their own lives. And like you said, we're not saying that people shouldn't care, but you can only take so much of bringing all that negativity into your own life until you become negative. So I think we're both saying that people need to, of course, be aware of what's going on, and people need to be, they need to curate or edit very carefully the amount of negativity they take in. Knowledge is important to have, but negativity, there's so much of it because it sells, right? It used to be, and sex still does sell, I've been advertising, but misery sells almost as well. And there's something about us that can't look away, in a train crash or those types of situations. And there's definitely, in today's day and age, a need to edit yourself, right? I know people that watch the news 20 hours a day almost and wonder why they're unhappy and depressed. Well, if you've seen the movie Agent Orange, have you ever watched that show, Al? Yeah, that's a Stanley Kubrick movie, and you should watch that. And basically, it was showing the effects of basically drilling negative imagery and intent into people's minds until they went insane. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people are doing that to themselves now, because it's so easy I'm just looking here and I'm speaking into my phone, and immediately behind that is my iPad, and then behind that is my computer, and behind that is a TV, and all of them could be broadcasting a lot of negativity at me right now if I had them on, right? So
That
your
is
advice is very good, I think.
well, I'll tell
Edit
you
that
what,
negativity.
if you personified the news broadcast, you would never ever let that person in your house. Somebody coming in and, oh, it's horrible. This is that people are dying and fire and death. Blah, blah. You would say, no, like, go away. We don't want to talk to you, right? So
Yeah.
but anyways, not to take anything away from
No.
the horrors that are occurring. Like that's
Yeah,
there's
and
no other way.
it's not the only bad thing happening, and
Nope.
and we can't ignore that.
Nope.
It's like here right in our backyard, we're dealing with the residential schools and all the things that have come to light recently there, and that history. And life isn't easy. We all know that, and it's a struggle in so many ways, but that struggle is what defines us. And I'm always amazed at, when we look at history, that we still come out of it and we still create beautiful art and music and dance and all of these wonderful things that are far surpass the negativity and the death and destruction. So we are a species of creators. We're a species of lovers, a species of amazing imagination and talent. And at times like this, we need to really rejoice in that. And I think that if we can focus on that and sharing that with people, it helps. It helps. It helps deal with all of the negative energy and the, like you said, the horror of what's being pushed at us.
Right.
And yeah, don't let it in your house. Don't let that bad guy in your house. If you wouldn't let somebody who is telling you that constantly, you'd never invite him over, right?
I was listening to I forget what course I was doing when I heard this, but basically they were talking about a teeter-totter, like a balancing beam and a fulcrum, and that putting, like, if you think of negative, hateful, evil, just basically the opposite of love. We got love on this side and we got hate on this side, kind of thing. And there's sesame seeds, and the sesame seeds get evenly distributed on there, right? And so, and every act of love we do adds to the sesame seed pile on the love side, and would tip it that way. So if they were totally even, how many sesame seeds would you need to tip it in favor of love?
One.
And that's what we can do every day, is we could do one, right?
One.
So
Yeah.
anyways, I thought that was okay. That makes sense. Sometimes,
well, that's our hope. That's the really hopeful message, right? Right
that's
there.
it. Right? You
Do
can
your
look at,
one
you can see all the
sesame seed
negative
today.
things, but what one positive thing can you add right now? Like, pick up the phone, shoot a text, like,
Yeah.
what is it that you could do that would be on the positive side of that ledger, right? So
Often we can't stop other people from doing bad things because they're too far away. We're not empowered, but it's really almost impossible to stop us from doing some small act of kindness. And you can be confined mentally, physically, but you can still do that one act of kindness that adds a sesame seed to the balance beam. And I think that's a fantastic image, Alan. I think that's something that everyone can take away in their own struggles. And as I said, when we started this, everyone's in a struggle, and that's the nature of life, right? And if we can learn to focus on those sesame seeds, or those little nuggets of love, when we deal with ourselves, with our friends, with our neighbors, with our governments, with the world around us, we can tip the balance, I believe.
well said, sir. Well said.
I know you believe that. Did you do something today to tip the balance?
I think I did. No, wait a minute. That was yesterday. Did I do something today? Yesterday was kind of fun. I was picking up the groceries. Did I tell you this thing about?
No.
Oh, okay. I was picking up the groceries, at Save On, and I had both the front and the rear trunk open on the Tesla because it was a
Right.
big order. Corolla's stocking up. I think she thinks the apocalypse is on its way. I don't know. Anyways, the front and the rear trunk were open, and this young Blackfoot guy comes up, and he's like, what's going on? Where's the engine? And so we had a nice chat, that kind of thing. And then this I don't know if she was with him. She was a younger woman. And so then she's come over and we had a conversation, and then we had a nice chat. And then he said, hey, do you have any money? I'm hungry, blah, blah, blah. And I said, you know what? I don't have $1 to my name, but I got a credit card. Let's go into the Save On to the deli here and get you something to eat. So we went in and they picked out what food they want. We had a nice chat, right? And I didn't even look what it cost. I just swiped the credit card, but a beautiful investment, if you will, right? Whatever that was, $20 or whatever it was, it made me feel real good to be able to do that for them. And the girl was saying, oh, I want to pay you back. Says, no, that's like, this is kind of how this works. Right now, I can help you. Accept my help. Maybe sometime down the road, you can help me. Maybe I'll need your help, or you'll be able to help somebody else. Maybe it's not me. It's, so we can kind of keep this train rolling, right? Just one transformation at a time.
And that's the other great reality. The fact that we're all struggling means that sometime there's always a point in our lives where we could use a little help, whatever that is. And maybe it's just a kind word. Maybe it's a smile on a stranger's face as they pass by. Maybe it's some food from the deli. Who knows? We're all on a complex journey, but it's really reassuring if you look at it from the perspective that the opportunity to help is infinite, and you're empowered to do good every day. You don't have to look for it. You're welcome to, if that's what you're into, but it will present itself. There will be opportunities every day. And I know because of COVID and my health, I haven't made it outside very much, out into the community physically, but I've had so many opportunities to help, online or phone calls or so many different ways. So I really believe that if you're open and receptive, you'll find great opportunities to help people that fit what you can offer that day. And, we all have bad days where maybe we can't smile at the stranger, and, we don't have an extra $20 to give somebody or to buy them lunch. But there will be, maybe we can be a little kinder to ourselves. Maybe we can look in the mirror and say, hey, you know what? Tomorrow's going to be better. Today was so bad that tomorrow has to be better. And sometimes even that little act of kindness, and I found that in my own life, just, looking at yourself in the mirror and say, you and I like music so much. And I always think of Don Williams' song, Lord, I Hope This Day Is Good. And whenever I hear that song or think when I'm feeling really down, I think, okay, I hear Don Williams in my ear saying, Lord, I hope this day is good. And that's a great little kindness that can happen anytime, anywhere. You can give yourself some kindness, right?
Exactly. Unless you're in a dark room that you're not connected to anybody, you don't talk to anybody, you don't text anybody, you don't Facebook message, you don't you don't go outside, and unless you are an island unto yourself, you have an opportunity to do something encouraging or supportive or helpful for another human on this journey.
I have this friend, and he has the answer to even that. Because even if you took him and put him in a really dark room with no anything, as long as there was air in there, I guarantee you within about 15 minutes, he would be singing, or if you cut his tongue out, he'd be rapping on the walls, or he'd be making music somehow. And those vibrations would make their way through and out into the universe. You know what I'm talking about?
I like to meet this guy. He sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, well, before you go to bed tonight, look in the mirror. But it's really true, because just creating sound and the act of humming a prayer, reciting a favorite piece of poetry is a great act of self-love. And I think that we don't encourage each other to do that. Making making noise, making sound, creating vibration, uh, gets things moving. The
Yeah.
ripple of, throw a stone in a pond and the ripples go on infinitely. They hit
Yeah.
the shore and they bounce back and they interact with everything in the pond. And we're like that. We put out ripples every day. So,
Well, you know what? I was watching Bruce Lipton the other day. Dr. Bruce Lipton. He's a really interested fella. But basically, he was saying, you know what? Think of it this way: what you think, do, believe. The behaviors you take. So the things within your control determine what's flowing through your body, right?
mhm.
So it could be toxic, it could be cortisol and adrenaline, and because it's all fear-based thoughts you have and concerns and anger and those kind of things. Or on the other side of it, it could be all tonic, right? It could be all feel good type chemicals like oxytocin and things that are creating endorphins and things that are creating mood elevations and connections. They talk about heroin being like a hug. Well, how about we start doing more hugging and less heroin? Wouldn't that
Let-
be a good idea? You know what I mean? It's
well,
just like
I've never tried heroin, but I
me
certainly
neither.
enjoy hugs. So
Yeah, me too. Hugs are
that's
good.
pretty
I
easy
like
for
hugs.
us.
So I gave a few today. Matter of fact, I hope the COVID police don't catch me.
Uh-oh. It was hard. Stopping myself shaking hands and giving hugs, almost, as you know, impossible. And it's just in us to reach out and make contact with people. I was teaching a class in Japan of senior citizens, and they were, I think the youngest was 71 or 72 all the way up to 91 actually. And this gentleman was telling me, and I think he said he saw it in a movie or read it in a book, I'm not sure, but he had been married to his wife for 60 years almost. They were married really young, part of the war, and had been together ever since, raised a family that now were raising their own family and moved away. And he said they were in a really dark place. They had, fallen out of love with each other, and their family had moved away, and they felt isolated and alone and worrying about what happens at the end of life and all those things. And they decided that every night before they went to bed, they had separate beds in the same room. They would shake hands, bow to each other. They included shaking hands because they called it skinship. They wanted to include some physical contact. And they would say thank you to each other. Thank you for being my wife this day. Thank you for being my husband this day. Thank you for being my friend this day. And they would go to bed. And when they woke up in the morning, they would bow to each other and they would say, thank you for starting this day with me. I hope your day is good and that we can enjoy something together today. And in the beginning, he said it was a challenge, and because it felt silly and it felt uncomfortable. And then he said something really interesting started to happen. They started to look forward to that nightly thank you and that moment of quiet and connection. And every morning when they woke up, they always had something to look forward to. So when they went to bed, they had that moment of thank you. And then they, as they were going to sleep, they had that, oh, tomorrow morning, I'm going to have that nice, 5 minutes of connection time. And he said
Nice.
it really changed their relationship after so many years of, basically just passing each other in the hall and nodding and really having no connection. And he said they forced themselves to do it, but quickly it became something very real and genuine. And he said, it doesn't take away the negativity, doesn't take away the fact that, I worked and was never home as my family grew up, and then my wife was left dealing with all of those things. But now we have at least some connection, and we have those 10 minutes in the morning and night where things are good between us, and we feel loved and
Yeah.
cared for.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really wonderful story about how it's never really too late. Often we think that we're too old or too much has happened to go back, or that things have, passed the point of no return. And I don't know if that's true as much as we think it is. What do you think?
You know what? I think that it is you determine a lot of the limitations you place upon yourself, right? That there's a lot of people who could say, oh, I'm too old, can't do it. Or I'm not the right color or religion or whatever it is, kind of a thing. There's something that I'm not enough, right? And especially as it relates to age, I think I'm convinced that I got a good 20 years of good health, and I'm in a period of my life when I have enough of everything. So if I got enough of everything, I'm not worried about what I need. I'm looking for what contribution I can make. So I believe that I will, with however modest my contribution will be over my lifetime, the majority of it is going to be from now. The majority is
Right.
go forward. Whatever happened in the past, that was good, and I helped, and I did a little bit. But I'm going to be able to contribute to a more in a more fulsome way. That's what I'm believing. And so it kind of there's a song right now, or the song that I love by Alan Jackson, "The Older I Get," and then one of the things in the chorus is the more it seems the older I get, the more it seems the money and I can't think of the lyric, but basically you're getting better as I'm getting better now. I'm more optimistic and have better today than I was in the past. So yeah.
I think that each of us at any time can, look back and say, life up to this point has been good, or it's been okay, or it's been terrible. But starting right now, I'm going to do everything I can to make it better. And just like you said, whatever happens after this point is going to be better than what has happened up until this point.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that we all have that power. And just saying that and actually trying to make it true gives a whole bunch of power to us as individuals. When we stop thinking about, oh, I wonder what's going to happen to me, and we take ownership over that and say, I'm going to ensure that I do better than I did before, that I, add more sesame seeds to that teeter totter. We can win wherever we are in the game.
Yes. Yes. Well said, Scott. I mean, if you think about this, we do as well as we can with what we know and what we have, right? So if our part of our every day is to learn something new, well, we're going to learn something new. So we know something more than we did yesterday. Now we could be a better version tomorrow because we learned something new. When we're going to learn something new again, which will create another better version. So it's every day should be a better version is kind of what I'm hoping that we can pull off, because every day you're going to learn something.
There's a saying that among people that do, security and personal protection and risk prevention and those types of things. And that's three things to avoid. And I've heard it using the word stupid and using the word dangerous. So don't do stupid or dangerous things. Don't do things during stupid or dangerous times.
Mm-hmm.
And don't put yourself in stupid or dangerous places. So if you avoid those three things, the likelihood of you getting into a bad situation is relatively low.
You know what? Right? I agree with you, but I can probably recall 20 times when I did the stupid and dangerous thing, and amazingly I did not die. So that's hallelujah, I'm here. Here, Scott, I wanted to share this lyric with you. This is that chorus from that song.
Yeah, okay.
If they found a fountain of youth, I wouldn't drink a drop, and that's the truth. Funny how it feels, I'm just getting to my best years yet. Funny how it feels, I'm just getting to my best years yet.
Excellent.
I love that song.
Fantastic. Excellent. And I think that's true, Al. I think it's true in your case, and I think it's true for a lot of us. And that doesn't mean we have to forget what came before, and it doesn't mean what came before wasn't wonderful. It just means that what comes next can be amazing.
And it might not be, you might not have the same abilities go forward that you had previous, right? Things change,
Absolutely. Yep.
right? So it might not be the same, might be more or less or different, but it could be though that your contribution could still be greater even though your abilities have changed, right? Because there's different abilities you're going to draw on by what you learn.
I'm at a point in my life where I'm really aware of aging. And, we were up last night because we were dealing with, texts and things, what was going on. And so I woke up this morning after only a little bit of sleep, and I look terrible. And, right now I look like I've been run over by a steam locomotive. And when I was younger, I could go 3-4 days without sleeping, no problem, and still, run a race and hold a business meeting and no problem. But, like this morning when I got up, I looked in the mirror and I'm like, wow, you look old, man. And and you're really aware of that. But as you said, there's other skills that you gain as you get older. And one of the hopes and prayers I have for all of the people I love and all of the people that are listening to this, and basically all the people everywhere, is that we
God. Well, I'm not sure what
Yeah.
Scott was going to tell us.
Well,
Oh, Scott.
I think we're experiencing some sort of technical difficulty.
Hey,
I'm going to sign off for both of us, and we'll be back here next week. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, have hope. Add some positivity to the universe. Send out what you hope to get back.